а именно да се обединим и като МРУК да подкрепим осъществяването на една правосъдна реформа в България, защото тя е полза на всички нас. Благодаря на нашите гости. Дискусията ще продължи около един час, може би малко по-малко, не знам как вървим с времето. Само граждани, темата на първо време става въпроси на граждани, така че за медиите има пресконференция след края на дискусията. Всеки има до 2 минути за изказване или за въпрос. Ще бъдем стрикни в това отношение. Ще прилагаме върховенството на закона. Ще ви дам въпросите и мненията ще се събират на рундове с по 3-4 изказвания, след което панелистите ще отговарят на тях. Моля всеки, който задава въпрос или изказва мнение, да се представя първо. Преди да започнем с въпросите на гражданите в публиката, бих искал да задам 2 въпроса на нашите гости, госпожа Моника Маковей и господин Христо Иванов, от името на инициативата. Към госпожа Маковей, вие сложите силен акцент върху решаващата роля на личността. Едновременно това казвате, че никога не бихте ви назначили за министър в България. Но вашия колега Христо Иванов сякаш доста се прилича с вас. Той е адвокат, правозащитник, НПО активист, безпартиен и посочен някаква форма от президента. Ще успее ли той да накара българските политици да гласуват закони, които ще докарат самите политици в затвора, както е вашия случай? Или именно вашия пример ще направи корумпираните политически елити доста по-предпазливи и те няма да преценят този път опасността и ще се съпротивляват доста по-ожесточено. И в тази връзка, далеч с безспорно важната роля на силните волеви политици, мислите ли, че гражданите могат да направят нещо, за да ускорят процеса на правосъдната реформа? И към министър Иванов да си помисли на кое да отговаря. В миналия петък в панорама госпожа Кунева каза, че предложението за промени в Конституцията ще отразява това, до което може да се постигне консенсус. Това, за което може да се постигне консенсус, достатъчно ли е за осъществяване на правосъдната реформа, така както я предлагате? И ако не е достатъчно, какво могат да направят гражданите, така да кажем, да катализират един по-убедителен, по-решаващ консенсус? И вие какво бихте направили като министър, ако не се осъществява реформата, това, което колегата Любомирчевски пита?
I start out with my answer to respect of you. Really, it depends on the minister, which way he wants to go. And if he wants to go the way I did, he's free to do it. I have to tell you that at that time I wasn't in any party, and that was very important. I didn't know anyone in the parties. I have been working the previous 3 years in Sarajevo, so no connection with the party. So no one could, no friends in any party. No one could say, we had we were friends, we had a lunch together, I did this for you, or we made you minister. No. So that was very important. Now, I haven't changed even if I joined the party, I remain the same. So it's important again to me how the people are. Even if I'm not in the party, so I was in the party as I presented last year, all the time in the party, I fought for integrity. I fought 2 years, for instance, to adopt an ethical code in the party, or to get rid of the people who were intact, sent to trial, and so on. So again, it depends on the person. If the minister takes wants to do it and feels he can, and there are no links which would stop him, then yes, he can do it. I insist, the person is important, because I hear you talking about different institutions. The person is the most important at this time. Well, find a minister or if you don't find a politician who can do this, then the second second option, as I said, is the prosecutors. And really, the fact that the German prosecutor has to issue guidelines for prosecutors, that wouldn't stop a prosecutor to start investigating. Nothing will convince
The case can be taken from them in Bulgaria.
Okay, and then the people would react, yes, because the people want anti-corruption. In Slovenia, after Slovenia joined the EU, all the political parties, opposition and power, they wanted to dismantle 3 times the anti-corruption agencies. And the people were on the street. Let's have a prosecutor investigating politicians or oligarchs, and let's see what it happens if the general prosecutor or the chief prosecutor dares to take the case. Let's start and do it, because we make assumptions what will happen without doing it. Let's try. Now, DNA is Directorate for National Directorate Anti-Corruption in Romania, this prosecutor's office, has 77 trust, 77%. It's close to the church. I mean, it's after the church, you can imagine. Which means, again, it's popular support. People want this. And if something happens, people react. Now, at this popular support, politicians cannot dismantle this institution. They want to do it. For instance, last week, 5 of the parliamentarians under investigation by this institution, they initiated a law to change the criminal procedure code in order not to be able to be in pretrial arrest. So they react. But with this popular support, which comes if prosecutors started to work, yes, and judges started to convict, then the politicians, even if they don't like it, and of course they don't like it, they come to do it. Now I'd like to say a few words on prescription. I don't know if you know, but Romania and Bulgaria are the only countries in the EU, if not in the world, who have a special prescription, which means that after a certain period of time, nothing can be done against a person. We are the only countries which still have this. In the EU, there are 2 categories of prescription, statute of limitation, to be more precisely in English. After a person is sent to trial, so the prosecutors finish and the case goes to the judges, there is no prescription any longer. It doesn't exist. And the second category, after the first instance court decision, no prescription during the appeal or for the execution of the punishment. We have to change this in the law. Now, I'd like to say about the accountability. Here, the prosecutor, German prosecutor, is elected by the Superior Council of Magistracy. It's very important what I'm saying now. The prosecutor general is elected by the Superior Council of Magistracy. Everyone thought, me the same like 15 years ago, that these councils, these judicial councils, will do the work and will ensure independence and accountability and professional judges and prosecutors. And my experience and my finding after all these years and in all countries is no, it is a failure. We should not expect that the professional category should clean itself. This is against the human nature. A professional category would never clean itself. So we wanted to reform the judiciary. What did we do? We said we create a judicial council with judges and prosecutors, and then we say, take the power and reform yourself. Change yourself. Who is going to change himself or herself? Really, people don't like changes. They don't like to change the network, the friends, the rules, the way they work, the way they live. You know, they don't like to do this. And if we speak about corruption in the judiciary, even more often. So that was a mistake. First, you have to make a selection of the judges and prosecutors, and then you can give the power to them. You have to know to whom you give the power. Now, the Superior Council of Magistracy is a collective body, yes? Now, I don't believe in any responsibility of a collective body. There is no such responsibility as collective responsibility. It means no one is responsible, whoever they appoint. So this is why I changed the law in Romania. We did the same in 2004. And I realized that I can do nothing. Even if you have a party here running and saying, I'm going to do this reform, then that party would not be, and would win, would not be able to do anything, because it's a Superior Council who appoints the So I changed the law, and you could have done the same. I went to the European Commission, I explained that we need a person to be accountable for these appointments. And accountability is the key for everything. And the Commission accepted, and we changed the law. And the proposal is done by the Minister after interviews and the procedure of selection with the psychologist, as I told you. Then it's a hearing in front of the Council, which is public and it's on live TV. And then it goes to the President of the country, who appoints or not, but he has to motivate if he does. Now, everyone knows, if I made a bad proposal, it's me. Yes, I'm accountable. If I made a good proposal, it's me again. Otherwise, if it's not personal accountability, things would not change, yes, in terms of appointing. That's the rule everywhere. Now, once again, it's fine. You want to change the constitution, change the constitution. Don't give the judicial council more powers. First, when you have such a body, this body has to deal very well with the powers and the duties it has now. You don't give it more. Don't give it the budget, for instance. That's really crazy. The budget has to stay to the ministry. I want to do the same. The Minister of Justice from Germany came to me and said, don't do it. And she explained me why. They are trained to judge and to investigate, not to do administration, not to do the budget, yes? So, I heard about creating investigators, a group of investigators. Again, it's important who is the person appointed, based on which procedures. And once again, whoever is the general prosecutor, I understand that you are not happy with this person. Whoever is the general prosecutor, any prosecutor who is brave would start investigation.
Аз ще трябва да говоря преди това на просто начин на Миновчийски. С оставката мене се направо. Уверявам ви, това е да плащате с салам, съвсем честно казвам. Уверявам ви, че в момента, в който наистина се уверя, че не мога да свърша никаква работа, тази оставка ще получи. Героично това ще успея да ви звуча. Не знам защо съм звучал оплакващо се. Говоря ви за това как стоят нещата в България. Нещата в България стоят не са розови. Госпожа Маколето що каза, че нека да видим един прокурор да опита и как след това победата ще възстане. Нека. Обаче, знаете ли, нашите тук днес на публиката обикновено и сваляме правителства и само ето по-трудно качване. Това не е проблема. Знаете ли какво е положението, че в България вероятно всеки ден има прокурори, които опитват. Вероятно има всеки ден прокурори, които опитват. Ние не чуваме за тях, за да стане. Защото аз познавам такива хора, които на собствен гръб, на собствен опит са научили точно къде минава една линия, отвъд която не бива да се бива. Ние не чуваме за тях. За съдиите от Софийски градски съд благодарим на френския посланик, че чухме, но те не се появиха след неговото интервю. Те писаха писма до Висшия съдебен съвет. Многократно. Отворете сайта на Съюза на съдиите. По всеки един скандал ще видите техни реакции. Огромна част от скандалите в съдебната власт са предизвикани от техни реакции. Всъщност, колко от вас са излизали на улицата? Има такива случаи. Но колко бяха с вас и колко души излизаха на улицата за това? Малко е по-сложна ситуацията, колкото не си иска да вярвам. Да кажа за графиците. Винаги има графици. Винаги има графици. В момента има и акшен план към стратегията, просто не е преведен на английски. И затова вероятно госпожа Макове не е видяла, има прият от правителството план график за изпълнение на мерките на Европейската комисия. Винаги е имал такъв, това нищо не е довело. Господин Ръчински, за съжаление, ние в момента, като сега отворите ги намерите, ще видите, че не се движим по тях. В някои отношения сме закъснели. Самата истина е това. Само, че тъй като определен вид действия не зависят само от министъра и министерството, все пак ще кажете, че случая по-просто се разбира се. Кимате. Трябва ли диктатор, вероятно? Да ви кажа един вид. В Македония решили да правят Министерство на флота. И член на кабинет попитал за какво ни флот, като нямаме море. И те казали, българите, що на Министерство на правосъдието? И аз малко, но това не е важно. Надявам се днес да бъдат внесени промени в Конституцията. Това не зависи от мен, вие питате защо не го прави министъра. Това е една много проста конституционна причина, няма конституционна инициатива. Трябва да се направи депутат. Защото няма 60 гласа. Защото няма 60 гласа, господин Ръчински. Освен това, не знам защо ме не питате, защо не го прави парламентарната група на Реформаторски блок. Аз ще се радвам да ви отговоря, но не знам. Но съм сигурен, че те имат свой отговор на това въпрос. Днеска се надяваме накрая тя да бъде внесена и в момента, в който видим какво в крайна сметка ще бъде внесено, защото те доста в рамките на дискусията се променят нещата. Един готов законопроект за това, в който 90% от нещата, които вие тук изборихте, ще бъдат обявени за публична дискусия. Ще има някои неща повече от това, което вие изборихте. Така че това е, което мога да кажа за сроковете. Трябва да 24 часа след обявяване на окончателните предложения за изменение в Конституцията, за да знаем. Последно, например, промениха правомощията на министъра в посока обратно на това, което госпожа Макове току-що препоръчваше, но така тече пазарлък в парламента. Пазарлък, да, пазарлък. Как да кажеш, нелицеприятен пазарлък. Това е положението. Това ви казах. Мислим, че сме свалили правителството на Орешарски. Нека така да е. Но колко добре се справяме с качване на правителството и с събиране на мнозинства. Затова има пазарлък в парламента и не искате да го видите как среща. На практика. Това е въпрос. Говорите за пазарлък. Имаме попита за консенсус. Ако внимателно сте наблюдавали това, което казахме, беше, че предложенията, които направихме, са предложения, които направихме след дискусия с тримата колеги. Тоест, това са предложенията, за които ние можем да получим подкрепата от тримата колеги. Надявам се в парламента да има други предложения. Надявам се и опозиция, и част от управляващото мнозинство, честно казано, аз лично се разходнявам да покарам точно границата. Да всъщност да се фокусира върху това да предлагат повече и да надграждат. Моята задача, която се поставих, може би не много амбициозна, беше изобщо да стартираме този процес. Изобщо да отворим глава правосъдие на конституционно ниво, за да може да има дебат за това какво още трябва да се свърши. Това е много важно, защото наистина има проблеми, които са структурни и системни са заложени там. От тук нататък зависи от всяка една парламентарна сила и от цялото общество дали ще има допълнителни предложения. Аз лично мисля, че това е половината реформа. Много е важно да реформираме Висшия съдебен съвет, но това е половината. Другата половина е прокуратурата. Надявам се някой да внесе такива предложения и да има дебат за тях.
Заповядайте до кръг на микрофона, представете се, имате 2 минути и след това следващите.
Здравейте, казвам се доктор Николов. Тъй като вече трети час в тази зала се говори, че корупцията може да се бори от политици, от магистрати и чрез закони, искам да попитам госпожа Маковей за възможностите, които тя вижда корупцията да се бори от чиновници. So, Ms. Makovey, here there is a proposal from the Bulgarian Vice Prime Minister that every single item on every single property statement of a politician, civil servant, etc., would be examined by a new administration amounting to roughly 100 people. My question is, do you think that, well, we know that a person with a non-criminal set of mind would have all his property registered on his or her own name. And the person with a criminal set of mind would generally have his property registered on someone else's name. Do you think that civil servants checking declarations can ever fight corruption? Thank you.
Благодаря. Други въпроси. Искам да ви уверя, че превода също се справя много добре, колегите. Така че не се притеснявайте.
Петю Хаджиев от Движение защита на гражданите и държавата. Първата самоорганизация възникла по време на протестите в историята на България. Не финансирана и не манипулирана от външни или вътрешни сили. Корупцията в България се различава от корупцията в Италия, Румъния и всички други страни съществено. Тя е заложена институционно в Конституцията и законите на тази страна. Не може да съществува управлението без функционирането на корупцията в България. Затова всякакви други предложения за борба с корупцията ще представляват като мятане на риба, извадена на сухо, и ще бъдат палиативни и неефективни. Единственият начин за борба с корупцията е коренна смяна на съществуващата конституция в страната и корупционните закони, които тя допуска да се приемат. Законите във всички държави са направени, за да се изпълняват, и са взети всички мерки, дори да не искаш да ги изпълняваш, независимо какъв си магистрат или управленец, да не можеш. Единствено в България законите са направени така, че да се заобикалят. И не може да функционира държавата в България, ако законите не се заобикалят. Единственият начин да сменим нещата е да се съберем, да създадем комитет, народът сам да си напише нова конституция и сам да си я приеме с референдум. Благодаря за вниманието.
Добре, здравейте, госпожо. Благодаря всички. Искам да задам един въпрос, по-скоро да ви помоля да разкажете с няколко изречения на две неща. Какъв е прага на търпимост на румънското общество по отношение на очевидни признаци на корупция политическа и как румънската, не знам, предполагам, главна прокуратура, главния прокурор, как реагира на сигнали в медиите, в публичното пространство, които също недвусмислено сочат съществуването на политическа корупция. Благодаря ви.
Добре. Преди да преминем към въпросите, към отговорите на нашите участници, имаме постъпил онлайн въпрос от Аделина Марини, която пита каква е ролята на медиите на Европейската комисия за успеха на реформата в Румъния. Това е въпросът на госпожа Маковей. И поддържа ли тя същата тезата, че трябва да отпада механизма за проверка и сътрудничество? И също така реципрочно, ако може и мистер Иванов да отговори на този въпрос, какво смята. Дали това е ролята на медиите и Европейската комисия за евентуален успех на правосъдната реформа? Аделина Марина и Юрин Сайт. Заповядайте. Госпожо Маковей.
No, because again there are opinions that without changing the constitution things will not work. I'll tell you how I feel. People are fed up with strategies, constitutional changes, papers, documents. Yes? They want action. Can you provide action? Can the prosecutors and judges provide some action? I'm sure that corruption is in the criminal code. I'm sure that money laundering is in the criminal code. They have just to start doing it. Then you can change. You know, when you talk about the reform of the judicial system, it's not, initially you think that you have to make a whole, change in the system. You have to. But you have to start by this action, yes, by working. By working. Which means the duty of a prosecutor and the duty of a judge is to work in cases, yes? To investigate up to the end, and then to judge, to trial, to convict or to acquit. So they have to do their job. They don't have to wait for any change in the law or in the constitution. About the corruption in the administration. If I think that the administration can fight corruption, there could be whistleblowers, some of them. And I work with some of them like this. First of all, you have to know that the civil servants are assumed to be corrupt if they have in reality more money, more assets than the income. And in the UN Convention Against Corruption, it's recommended that illicit enrichment be a crime in itself for civil servants, which means if I'm a civil servant and I have more, houses, cars, money than my legal income and my family income, then this is a crime in itself because it's an assumption that because I'm a civil servant, I made it through corruption. Yes? And it's a crime in itself. And it's in France as well, for instance. And of course it's confiscated. Confiscation is very important. We didn't talk about this. I was a rapporteur and I wrote and I negotiated the directive, European directive on EU on extended confiscation, which means you can confiscate more than the object which is proven in a criminal trial. And also you can confiscate from third parties because people divorce, people put houses, lands on other people's name, family or others. So if you prove that it's under your control, even if it's on another name, then you can confiscate. That's in the directive. Now on the CVM, I have to tell you, if you didn't know, that you have CVM because of me. And Romania has CVM because of me. In 2006, I realized that the political will was going down. I mean, there was no political will to continue anti-corruption. Everyone was sure that we joined at 1st of January 2007. And therefore, everyone was telling just, stop any anti-corruption initiative. So everything was much more difficult. So I realized that after 1st of January 2007, things will be reversed. So I took a decision by myself, and I went to the Commission and I said, let's imagine a mechanism by which you could still have a leg in my country. I was interested in Romania, but as you know, we are a package. So Romania, if we had CVM, we had to have CVM as well. And it was good for both countries. You had an organized crime and judiciary, you had no corruption in judiciary. That's because, and that's connected to another question, the role of pre-accession. In the pre-accession period, it's a time when you can do things, because there is no politician who can go out in front of the public and say, we will not join the EU because I don't want to adopt this law or to do this anti-corruption measure. They cannot do it, but they can do it afterwards. So that, yes, the pre-accession period has been very helpful. And I had commissioners who told me, if the Prime Minister of the government doesn't want to do something, which you want, then you call me. Or they don't give you enough money to do the budget for this anti-corruption prosecutor office, you call me and you call the Prime Minister. This is how things are going. So we made this CVM, which came from the Commission, And in my view, without this CVM, for instance, the Romanian this anti-corruption prosecutor office would not exist today. It would have been dismantled. It would have been eliminated by the politicians. They tried a few times. So this helps politicians who want to continue the reform of the judiciary and to fight corruption. This helps the civil society. This helps the judges and the prosecutors who want to do it. This helps the good people, yes? The CVM. They don't have politicians who don't want. But that's their problem. We don't do reforms and fight against political corruption to protect politicians. No. We do it for the people, yes? So CVM is good and should be maintained. The problem is, at least in Romania, the judiciary is doing this job. The problem in Romania is that the politicians try to stop it. For instance, they reject sometimes requests of waiving away immunity in order to be investigated or to be taken to a judge for deciding complete arrest. Or they try to change the criminal procedure code. And I make you laugh. They changed the law and they saw that they go to prison, fine. And then they thought, how do we get earlier? So they changed the law and they put in the law on execution of sentences a provision saying that if you write books in the prison, you get out earlier. Each book, I think it's 3 months, you know? So we had people who wrote this head of, former vice prime minister and also president of a football club who wrote 4 books. In, I don't know, 4 books in 3 months or something like this. And he did this. Now everyone is writing, all these famous people are writing books in prison. They don't write, they don't write the books, yes? They pay someone to write the books because then it was in the media that basically 2 of the 4 books were copied from a PhD thesis. So they try all these kind of things, but it's, it's late. It's late. But this is because we had the CVM. Without the CVM, these prosecutors and judges have been allowed. And also the ambassadors were very important. I think you said that we don't need foreign embassies. We need, I'm sorry to say. Our political class is not, as a whole, yes, is not willing to fight corruption. And therefore we need political support. And yes, anytime there was a wrong, we had American ambassador, we had British ambassador, Dutch ambassador that were most active in Romania, being very outspoken. And this was very helpful, even for those prosecutors, The oligarchs have the TVs. You can't imagine what they broadcast about these prosecutors and judges who have their cases. And they support all this, that's the job. But it's important that someone comes out and gives you support. And it's important for our politicians also, in the bilateral relations. They are told in bilateral meetings all these things. Because no one will tolerate corruption. You don't want to make business with a country where there is corruption. Why should I do business with you? I don't trust. There is no fair competition. Yes? There is no free market. So, let's keep this in here.
Ще ви отговорим на въпроса, какво си няма. Система е механизъм за сътрудничество и оценка на Европейската комисия или по-известен като Европейския мониторинг на България от Cooperation and Verification Mechanism, който и да стои в корена на това политическо решение за продължаване на мониторинга на двете страни, е свършил полезна работа за нас. И нашата позиция винаги е това, че механизма трябва да продължава, и като ние не сме готови да продължим без него. За съжаление, мисля, че доста време ще ни трябва. Така че това е за отношение на комисията. Едно нещо мога да споделя с вас. Ако прочетете последния доклад на комисията, някакси съосъщането реформа на прокуратурата едва ще ви дойде на ум. И това е пък една слабост на тези доклади. И една трудност, която през цялото време, включително в този разговор, не се опитваме да обясним. Госпожа Маковей изхожда от презумцията, че ви каза изречението, в Румъния съдебната власт се върши работата на политиците и пречат. Нашите може би са малко по-ефективни. Те не просто им се налага да пречат на свършена работа, те са създали през тези десетилетия условията, огромна част от работата просто да не се свърши по някакви изобщо. Това е съвсем различна изходна точка и ние трябва да си даваме сметка. И ролята на медиите. Знаете, ролята на медиите е така простичка. Ако нещо те не добре, няма да се случи. Ако медиите не ви разкажат с пореден скандал от Висшия, ако не ви разкажат за какво се случи, не кой кръщава, който е около нас и каква пиротехника му, а защо е бил зададен този въпрос, защо не е бил зададен, защо не е получил отговор и никога няма да разберете за това. Ако междувременно се занимават с пластичната операция на Хикс, бял шум. И тук не говоря дори за тези, за които всички знаят. Така че това, което няма в медиите, го няма в природата.
Благодаря, господин Иванов. Други въпроси изказват?
Добър ден, Георги Атанасов, Български финансов форум. Дона Маковей, Евентуално да бъдете справи. Първият ми въпрос е: доколко считате, че процесът в Румъния вече е дефинитивен, необратим? Аз се спомням ваше изказване между първия и втория тур на президентските избори миналата есен, когато казахте, че изборът е, как доста силни думи потребихте, на живот и смърт. И вторият ми въпрос е: вие сте работили в Скопие. Предполагам ви информация за събитието от последния месец. Доколко считате, че проблем е в корупцията, а не система? Благодаря.
Следващ въпрос.
Разбрах, че има добри преводачи, така че на английски. Madam Makovey, the question is for you. First time I heard your name was actually in Romania during the presidential election. And I heard it since I'm active in the youth and student field in Bulgarian and European level as well. Difference between Bulgaria and Romania that I found starkly interesting is your youth and student NGOs are quite proactive. You'll find a lot of supporters there, by the way. They were the ones that told me about it. You probably know of Adam Sereg, you probably know of Cetere. I have a feeling that in Bulgaria we don't necessarily have such a strong civil society. As you can clearly see, we're really good in applauding and agreeing, but I'm afraid that we might not be good in implementation when it comes to the reform, when it comes to the will. Your current position in the European Parliament actually allows you to be more vigilant upon those issues. Do you think that you can take the case of Bulgaria up on your initiative, even freely commenting or blogging about it? As you know, we're in an interconnected European Union. What happens in Bulgaria too affects Romania. If we lag behind, this will inevitably have an effect on all of the EU and Romania as well. So my suggestion for you is, as you promised earlier, follow up on what's happening in Bulgaria. We would need that. Our civil society needs, even if you say foreign intervention, as a good example. Earlier we had a minister of France. Your voice would be one that the Bulgarian civil society would be interested in recurringly hearing about this reform. So I would ask you to take up on that. I mean, I personally come from Dobruja. My grandmother spoke Romania. You know, other than the two bridges, there's a lot more that connects us, trust me. All right? Последният ми въпрос ще бъде към господин Иванов. Госпожа Маковей говори много за страха и колко е важно да не се страхуваме. Страха е нещо естествено, всеки е природен, всеки се страхува. От какво се страхувате вие, ми въпрос? Благодаря.
Добре. Моля да не забравяйте да се представяте.
Добър ден, аз се казвам Снежина Ставрева и работя като вътрешен аудитор на частна практика. Въпросите са ми към госпожа Маковей. Първия, какъв е правен на конфискация в Румъния за имущество, което е придобито в резултат на корупция, за употреба и така нататък. Има ли давност за корупция в Румъния и работят ли по анонимни сигнали тези колеги в тази структура, която е призвана да се бори срещу корупцията? Благодаря ви.
Добър ден. Моят въпрос е към госпожа Маковей. Работейки върху този документ, който господин Величков изнесе малко по-рано, Петромир Кънчев се казвам, адвокат съм, част от инициатива Правосъдие за всеки. Мислихме ролята за този независим прокурор, който вие имате. И в тази връзка възникна въпроса: прокуратурата в Румъния част ли от съдебната или от изпълнителната власт? Защото това е нещо, което ще отговори на въпроса колко у нас е възможно да има ролята на такъв прокурор, който е изцяло независим от общата прокуратура и от главния прокурор. И как би могъл да се създаде един такъв орган у нас, който да е равно отдалечен от всички власти, така че да не се страхува от влияние на всички онези, които той разследва. Благодаря.
Този въпрос, защото може би да се отнесе и към министър Христо Иванов, каква е разлика между българския и румънския модел. Следен въпрос.
Здравейте, Димитър Ивичев, група за обществен натиск. Госпожа Маковей, първият въпрос е към вас. Общества, които остро се нуждаят от реформиране, вземат нестандартни решения. Украинското правителство, например, назначи заместник министър, бившия грузински министър на вътрешните работи, за да се пребори с корупцията. Лично аз много бих се радвал вие да бъдете министър на правосъдието на България. Но въпросът ми е следния. Ако вие кажете, че премиера на България е мутра, бандит и е част от мафията и той после ви покани да станете министър на правосъдието, ще приемете ли? И вторият ми въпрос е към министъра на правосъдието. Господин министър, на всички ни е ясно, че 25 годишният път е сбъркан и съдебната реформа спешно се нуждае от започване. Пътят ще бъде дълъг. Нямате ли усещането, че сте се загубили още в началото на пътя? Благодаря.
Благодаря. Понеже остава точно 10 минути, докато приключи дискусията, приключваме да съждение с въпросите и даваме думата на госпожа Маковей и министър Иванов за отговорите.
Okay, if what the prosecutors and judges do in these anti-corruption cases is irreversible, as I said in the campaign, that's a matter of death and life. At the level of these prosecutors and these judges, they will not change. Nothing will change them. However, as I said, and I will repeat, the heads are important. For instance, the current general prosecutor was appointed by the Prime Minister from the Socialist Party, but a party which never fought against corruption. And actually one of the ministers in his campaign was convicted a few days ago for fraud, electoral fraud. And the person he appointed, he negotiated with the previous president, is a person who did nothing in his career, is a friend of the Prime Minister, and therefore the General Prosecutor Office is doing no cases. The difference is that the other office, the Anti-Corruption Office, which is independent, including financially, is doing all these cases. So that's what I'm saying. It could be reversible if they succeed to change all these people and to bring their friends. Yes. I hope this will not happen. But yes, it's possible.
Presidential election was the crucial point. The presidential election was the crucial point.
Okay, but still I want to see, for instance, next year, the mandate of the current chair of the chief prosecutor of the anti-corruption prosecutor office expires. This is Kövesi, Boruca Kövesi. It's very important who will be the...
We're supposed to appoint the next.
The proposal will be made, as I told you before, by the Minister of Justice. An interview with the Supreme Council of Magistracy, an opinion, and then the President. And let's see the President what will do. Last week, he appointed a person as the head of the organized crime department. It was not really coming from Iași, if you know about the city. The city is full of crime. So if you know, that's another way to measure the quality of the work of prosecutors. You have criminal gangs and activities. Why? And then you pretend that you do your job. No, you don't. You didn't. Because they wouldn't have been created and they wouldn't act if you would have done your job. How many cases you did, how many people you sent to trial, how many investigations you did, how successful they were, everything can be measured in figures. So yes, it's in this way reversible if they change the heads, and not only the heads, and the heads start to change the prosecutors working. About to take up on the reform of the judicial system in Bulgaria and the European Parliament, fine, I'm happy to do this. And I'm actually working on the writing on the judicial reform around the countries in the Balkans. It was a question on the threshold of illicit enrichment in Romania. In Romania, I could not enforce this illicit enrichment. I told you it's a recommendation in the UN Convention Against Corruption. By contrary, I could do it in Macedonia. So after I had to leave the government after the accession, I was hired by the Foreign Office of the British government to work as an advisor and anti-corruption advisor to the Prime Minister of Macedonia. And there I changed the criminal code and I put as a crime illicit enrichment in Macedonia. But I have to tell you that Macedonia, for instance, it had before I was there in 2007. You can solve this through the taxes. For people who do not declare their taxes, their income, and they don't pay taxes on all their assets, the tax, if they catch you, is 70% of the value of the good. Otherwise, it's 10%.
Well, how about the system problem in Macedonia? How about the system problem in Macedonia later, last month?
I'm not commenting on
We don't have to
Macedonia. And also I know that it's disputed in Bulgaria and Macedonia, so I don't want to go into this. Anonymous signals, sure. We use them, I use them. And I can tell you a nice story, I use them in the European Parliament as well. I had a whistleblower, with people working in the European institutions who want to keep their jobs because they are European civil servants with good salaries for life, and it's logical they want to keep their job. On the other hand, if they see illegalities in their institutions, they want to tell. If they tell publicly, they lose their jobs. You know, they make your life miserable, they move you to another place, and so on and so forth. So I was in a situation when I received emails on my official email from, anonymous email, asking for my personal telephone or email address. I gave, I didn't know who they were, and they tested me. I had 3 cases. Each asked me to have a different telephone for each of them. And they tested me for some months, and I will just give you one example. At some point, they give me good hints to go. At some point, I said, okay, we need to meet, because you tell me about these subcontracts, and I don't have them, and I can't find them. There are subcontracts proving that basically the contract, the money went to the director of that institution. So we need to meet, and they said, okay, we'll let you know how we meet. So one day I received an SMS saying that on Thursday, it was Tuesday, on Thursday, I have to be, to go to this country, I will not say the country, by plane, then to rent a car, then to go to this lake, then to park the car in this parking, then to go to the lake through the alley which is called this way, through the forest. Then I arrive at the lake, there is an electricity
Fence.
not steep, yeah. Then you count 3 benches to the left and you sit on the 3rd bench.
Wow.
At 9 o'clock in the evening alone.
Oh, like in a movie.
Like in a movie. I believe me, like in a movie. Because they followed me all this time, they wanted to make sure that I'm not followed. And they are head of offices in their institutions. Okay, the person came with his or wife, husband. They took me to their home. I slept there, they gave me all the documents, and the director is not the director any longer. Yes, this is like in a movie. I said I had 3 situations, I'm just giving one. You have other colleagues do this, not all of them in the European Parliament, but we know, and we know that we work like this, and people don't ask, where you get this. I have a source, that's it. They're not allowed to ask me, or if they ask me, I don't say it. They're very afraid that I'm going to tell their names. No, I will never tell their names. But that's also part of life, you take risk, as I said. Prosecutor is part of the executive or part of the judiciary. It's part of the judiciary. In 91, when we did the new constitution, they're part of the judiciary, but they are both called magistrates. Now, to tell you how I feel, I think the good system and the real system in a democracy is that the prosecutors are representative of the state. They are subordinated, like in Germany, like in US, to the general prosecutor, but they have independence on the case. And they represent the interest of the state, the same as the private lawyers, defending lawyers represent the interest of the client. Now, in our countries, after the communism, this system would not have worked. Would not have worked because we wanted to take them out, to take them from the power of the executive, which was for 50 years, for the prosecutors and judges. So this is why we made them independent. Basically, the same way as judges. So that's a solution for the time being in our countries. I don't know if you realize, but we show in the history. We try to do reforms in all areas, democracy, market economy, judiciary, health, whatever, financially first. In 20 years, or 25 years, or 15 years, reforms which other countries did in hundreds of years. Accession to NATO and accession to EU, to-do list. You want to join NATO, have a to-do list. Very good. To-do list, move tasks forward. Want to join the EU? Here is the to-do list. Now this shortened the history for us. It was a political decision for the 2 countries to be taken into the EU. You knew that we didn't fulfill all the criteria, but you expected us to continue to the reforms. And that was the tragedy, that we didn't. The politicians didn't continue the reforms. That's why I said, fortunately, the CPM. Now, about independence, again, it can be written in the Constitution, it can be written in the law. This doesn't mean that in reality, because it's written in the law or in the Constitution, prosecutors and judges, automatically all of them will behave independently. Even if they have all the guarantees, they are appointed for life, for instance, in Romania. For life, yes, no one can do anything against them. And still they don't behave like angels on the earth and, delivering justice. Not all of them. Young prosecutors or young judges, they are not corrupted. You see, the amounts are growing up as they are younger. It's incredible. We felt that, okay, young journalists, it's not enough to be young, no. So, what I want to speak is about personal independence. If it's in the law, it will not help. If a person is corrupt, will be corrupt. Even if it's in the law that it's independent, it's appointed for life and so on. It's personal independence. This is why I say not anyone can be judge and prosecutor. There are a lot of tests to testing, a lot of systems to test this. It's not so complicated. So it's about personal independence, and this is why I insist it can be done. Just have a prosecutor or two prosecutors to start investigations. It answers the question about the Prime Minister. I didn't use those words about the Prime Minister. I said, I don't think there is, as it won't be the case in Romania as well. It will be the case in Romania as well. That I will not be the Minister of Justice in Bulgaria, and I will not be in Romania because the political class don't want to be investigated. You know? He didn't know at the beginning who I was and what I was going to do. Now, the second time it won't work like this with me. Maybe someone else. So that's why I said that. I can work with anyone, and I work with people who shouted at me and threatened me. I don't care if I have an objective, and I don't have any fear. So yes, if it's real, if it's for real, then yes, I come. But they will not ask, that's my point. They will not ask me in Romania. They don't want it once again. That's my point. They want to do that.
Съвсем кратко. Страх от всички много неща. Страх. Но това, което ме интересува, не е страх, че да напусна тази длъжност, напротив, очаквам с огромно търпение. Моля?
Ние не искаме да напуснем.
Не, просто защото става дума за това нещо. Но страх ме е, че когато дойде този момент, няма да съм направил всичко възможно. И от тази гледна точка някак си понякога страха мисля, че може да бъде също толкова силен мотиватор, колкото и коража. За дали съм загубил посоката? Не. Абсолютно не съм загубил посоката. Мисля, че може би не е очевидно отвън, но трябва да ви кажа, че оттам, където аз се намирам, ежедневно получавам потвърждение за това, на къде трябва да се движим. Реакциите, които се получават на нещата, които опитваме да правим, аз не съм сам екип, са много точни и двата показатели. Изключително точни. В този смисъл пътеката е добре маркирана, не се притеснявате за това. Вие поставихте, госпожа Маковеев, малко объркана ситуация с въпроса за моят фейсбук статус, в който бях го употребил едни малко по-груби изрази, отколкото по принцип си позволявам. Но нейният отговор беше добър и аз стоя зад него. Ако има възможност да опиташ да направиш нещо, никой не ми е обещавал някакви резултати. Аз мисля, че е въпрос на приличие да опиташ. И опитвам с цялата сериозност, на която съм способен. Нека да видим това ще бъде.
Hi, thanks everybody. I'm here from America. We're doing a documentary. Hopefully it's going to be on Showtime or HBO. And it's about the corruption going on here. And you know, after living through 2 George Bushes, and you know, in America we call out names. You know, we had Halliburton with Dick Cheney, and it's like the one thing I'm not getting is like, you know, I'm not hearing the name Pevsky, I'm not hearing the name Boyko, I'm not hearing you guys calling out these people, and I'm not getting a sense of focus of who's going to lead this thing and who's in charge of like keeping this all together. There's these protest movements. There's this over here, these people over there. I'm not feeling a sense of like focus of what's going to keep this thing driving forward to get these corrupt people out of the office. Can I direct this question towards you? Yes. I mean, what can be done to like get a sense of focus on this thing, to keep it going? After this meeting's over, what's going to happen? Who's going to lead this thing?
I sure this question is...
Well, who wants to answer that?
Look, I'll be happy to read it. It's someone giving the power. But yes, that's right. There are a lot of groups, a lot of maybe good to willing. It has to be someone leading. You always need a leader, yes? Yes. To know what to do and to say this is a direction, this is where we go. You do this, you do this, you do this, yes? You need a leader and you need to have concrete objectives, not many, not many. 2, 3, yes? For the most important.
Why don't I hear people saying the name Boyko or Pevsky at these meetings?
Which name?
Boyko or Pevsky. Why don't I hear these names at these meetings?
Maybe our colleague from the initiative can answer you as well.
And also taking the lead, for instance, I took the lead because I wanted to take the lead. It's not that someone said, take the lead on this. And I did things because I wanted, and I realized that also I have to be diplomat with my colleagues. And they didn't have to know everything I was doing, yes, but I decided what I want to do for the people, yes? You have to love your people, to love the people, and to do this for them.
I can see the extreme value of having an outsider like help shine a mirror. It's definitely great.
Всъщност, отговор на вашия въпрос е следния. Имената са функции на огромния, създаден, може би изкуствено проблем в системата, съдебната, още с приемането на тази конституция. Дали ще се казва лицето Хикс, Y, Пеевски, Иванов, Василев, няма никакво значение. Винаги ще се намерят лицата, които да обслужат схемата. Нашият прицел като гражданско общество трябва да бъде в схемата, в нейното разрушаване, защото, както казва госпожа Маковей, изчистете правосъдието и то ще изчисти всичко. Вие може да сте имали проблеми политически, а ние имаме проблеми с най-важния стълб в държавата. Правосъдието, което стои в нейната основа. И затова като група за натиск, ние искаме да намерим достойните магистрати, общественици и политици, които да променят системата. И тогава, вярвайте ми, имената сами ще изчезнат.
Браво! Let me say something. No, politicians will not change the system. Start from this. It would be great if they would change, but start from the assumption that right now, in our countries, politicians will not change the system to the better. The judicial system has to change the politicians. And the people when they go.
Is it likely that there's people in this room working for these people? Is it likely that there's people in this room working for Pepsi or Boyko? No.
Между другото, според едно от изданията, за които се говори, че на Певски няма да споменавам името, за да не правя